Hello and welcome to the YYC Soccer Podcast. My name is Jason Kmet and my co-host is Scott Strasser. Hey, Scott.
Hey, Jason. It's been a long time since we chatted last. How's it going?
It's good. It's been, maybe like an hour? I think something like that. Maybe a little bit more than an hour.
Yeah. Well, we just got back home, respectively, after watching the Calgary Wild's inaugural home game at McMahon Stadium. Very exciting afternoon. Excited to talk about that as well as a few other things with our second weekend recap, I guess we could call it.
This week on our recap, we will talk about the Wild's home opener, Cavalry FC, and Calgary teams in League One Alberta, including Blizzard Foothills and Rangers. Let's get going here. Let's start with history being made, Calgary Wild home opener.
Hi, this is Grace Doherty, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So there were more than 8,500 fans at McMahon Stadium today to watch the inaugural Calgary Wild's home opener. Unfortunately, the game itself didn't produce too many fireworks. It was a goalless draw with the Ottawa Rapid. But history was made, Jason. It was a pretty exciting occasion, wasn't it?
You could feel the energy and the excitement there. The crowd was really into it. And it felt like it was like happening. You know what I mean? Like you could kind of perceive the fact that it was, historical.
Absolutely. And let's talk about that crowd, right? I think the official confirmed attendance was 8,556, which is super impressive. It's more than Cavalry has ever drawn at a home game. So great by Calgary to show up. Lots of young girls and young boys in the stands. It was of course Mother's Day today, so I think this was a great activity for people to come out and watch with their families. And it was great to be a part of. Hey, I mean, I feel like a lot of media were there too. I think I heard there were 22 photographers, which was really impressive. And people from all over, not just Calgary. I noticed that some people even flew in for this game.
There were a lot of people around, like in that media area afterwards. A lot of representation from a lot of different organizations, and getting back to the crowd. Like I was sitting up in the press box. I wasn't on the field like you were, but I was really blown away by how loud the crowd was. Like we were facing the crowd, and lots of enthusiasm, lots of noise. I know a couple people in the press box commented that, wow, that crowd's really loud. Like they were quite impressed.
I was mostly shooting with the crowd to my back, and I kept turning around to see what was happening behind me because they were just they were really getting into it. So kudos to Calgary for showing up and producing a great story that we get to talk about on our podcast tonight.
For sure. And let's talk about the match a little bit more. So yeah, goalless draw. I see you added in the note here about the shots on goal. I did not realize they were this lopsided, Scott.
Me neither. And I honestly, I don't know if it was a typo, but this was in the official email that got sent out to media after with the stats. So apparently Ottawa outshot Calgary 17-4. But yeah, it didn't really feel like it was all Ottawa in this game. I do think that they looked the stronger team for parts of it, including at the beginning. But the Wild did have their moments, including at the end of the first half and in the final few minutes, as well as the added time. They seemed to be the team that was pushing.
I think for about the first half hour, Ottawa was a bit more on the front foot. And then, to end that half, Wild had a few really good chances and good moments. But and then in the second half, it was Wild had a few chances at the end. But it was a game where, I don't know, in the first half, at least, I really felt like the players were not really sure where the ball was going to go. I think the turf was an issue. I don't think that, even the Wild players never played a game on it before. They practiced on it a few times. So I kind of got the impression that was maybe a little bit of a factor early on. I think Lydia Bedford made a comment in the press conference about that too.
She did, yeah. She touched on the turf and how it felt very brushy, which I guess affected the roll of the ball. She also referenced the heat, which is, it's valid. It was probably 20-ish degrees Celsius, but the sun was shining. There wasn't a lot of cloud cover. So definitely felt like a hot summer day. And when you're playing on turf, it always feels a few degrees hotter. So that could also have been a bit of a factor in how both teams were contending with adverse conditions in a sense. It was still a fairly entertaining game, but there was a lot of stop-start in the second half. There were a few injuries, and overall it felt like it's telling when there's 9 minutes of added time in a goalless draw, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there was a few times where they stopped the game for quite a while. Maggie Doherty Howard was down for quite a while on the turf. Like I don't know how long she was actually on there, but it's obviously concerning at that point because it took a long time for her to get off the field.
Yeah, it was apparently a shoulder injury that was re-aggravated. Apparently, she had the same injury in preseason, and then she also had a leg injury coming into the first game of the year against Vancouver. This is all Lydia Bedford told us this during the press conference, and yeah, so she said she's not sure how bad it is, but she was hurting after the game. That's not a good person to lose. Hey, she's definitely a leader for the Wild and one of the most, I think, comfortable players in possession and one of the most likely to spring an attack, right? So hopefully she's able to play next weekend when the Wild are back at McMahon on Sunday afternoon to host the Montreal Roses, which will be a very tough outing.
Is there anybody out there for the Wild that you noticed that you want to comment on, someone that you thought played, that caught your attention in this match at all?
Sarita Thurton on the right wing, certainly in the first half, she was the Wild's most lively player. Had some really good runs down the wing, seemed to be faster than her fullback, so she was able to get to the byline and cross the ball in a few times. Unfortunately, none of those led to a clear-cut chance, but yeah, she was really playing well, but surprisingly, she was subbed off quite early into the second half, so I wasn't sure the thinking behind that, but Thurton definitely caught my eye, and yeah, she has a lot of speed, and I think she's going to be a potent weapon down the way for the rest of the season. Yeah,
she definitely has some wheels. As far as from my perspective, Michaela Moore, she is as advertised. She is a leader out there. She marshals the back line. She gets really involved in the play. I really would say for the most part, it's not like it was kind of expected what we were kind of told that the kind of player she is, but it was really sort of cemented by seeing it in person. I was very impressed with her.
Yeah, me too. Actually, she the Wild's probably along with Maggie Doherty Howard, she's probably the most experienced player on this team, right? How many caps does she have for New Zealand? 60 or 70 or something.
Mm-hmm. So something like that.
Yeah, like several dozen. So yeah, you see that experience in the way she plays and her composure on the ball, and her resolute defending. So yeah, that's another really good show.
It felt good to be part of this occasion, and I would say minus getting 3 points, where that would have been the icing on the cake. But I'd say otherwise, I think everything really went off really well, and I think a successful opening match for the Wild.
Definitely. And as mentioned, they'll be back next Sunday when they face the unbeaten Montreal Roses, who, after starting the season with 3 wins on the trot, were held to a goalless draw of their own at home this weekend against a surprise opponent, the Halifax Tides, who got their first point of the season.
Now, I believe Lydia Bedford made a comment about we've been on the road now for a while, so now we get a few games at home. So that's, I think, playing at home crowd and just the familiarity of your surroundings, I think is gonna help be a boost over the next games here for sure.
Hi, this is Ali Musse, and you're listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast.
So, Scott, Cavalry FC played on Saturday afternoon in Halifax. They played the Wanderers, and I'm probably glad I didn't put any money on this game.
Yeah, we were expecting a really tough game for Cavalry. I was actually predicting a draw. But Cavalry had very little challenge in this one. They walked over Halifax, beating them 3-0. And Jason, we were talking about Ali Musse a week or so ago, and how he'd gotten off to a kind of a slow start in 2025, hadn't registered a goal or an assist yet, and had been subbed off in a couple of games. I don't know if he heard our podcast, but he definitely had a point to prove in this game.
Yeah, he was all over the place. He drew that first penalty in injury time right before the half. And then there was another play where really I think he should have drawn another penalty, but it wasn't called. But then later in the game, he got 2 more goals to really salt it away. So I think it's pretty safe to say he'll be on the CPL Team of the Week this week.
Yeah. So he scored, I think it was about with 10 minutes or so left, maybe a little less than that, but squeezed a shot past Halifax goalkeeper Ryan Yesley, who really didn't have a good game, which was also a surprise to us considering we had talked about what a strong April he had in our preview episode. And then Musse got his double after a really nice assist, I thought, from Shamit Shom right toward the end of the game. But yeah, not a great performance from Halifax, who lose their first game of 2025. Until this game, they had actually been unbeaten. So really good statement win from.
I went into this match fully expecting the Wanderers I really expected them to be in form, but I watched that match and I'm like, this team has played so well and is in second place. To be blunt, I wasn't impressed with them. Obviously a couple goals there at the end and the scoreline makes it sound like it was a dominant performance by Cavalry, but for most of the match it was just 1-0. But I thought Cavalry just totally outplayed them for basically the whole game.
So results wise, this does move Cavalry up the table a place. They're now in 4th place, tied with Pacific FC. They both have 7 points, but Cavalry has a game in hand. They're 2 points back of Forge, who are on 9 points, but Halifax is still ahead of Cavalry and Forge on 11. Ottawa is off to a cracking start. They're well ahead of the pack at 16 points.
Yeah, they've had a pretty great opening to their season. Did you see that? Is it Sam Salter? But he got 4 goals in that match this past weekend. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the Team of the Week as well.
Yeah,
no, I was really impressed when I saw Ottawa come to Calgary and hold Cavalry to that draw earlier. They look like a real force to be reckoned with, more so than last year, to be honest. They were pretty good last year too.
Isn't that crazy? Last year when we were talking about how, they were the Galacticos team and everything like that, and they had a few really good matches, but then it kind of sort of like fizzled out. But this year they did. Yeah, I agree. They look better now than they looked at any point last year.
I agree. Yeah, really strong start to the season from Ottawa. And of course they'll have to maintain it though. That's, I think, 2 seasons in a row they've had really strong first halves of the season and then fizzled in the second half. Yeah, I'd have to say that they look the favorites to obviously still very early into the season, but they probably impressed me more than any other team has yet this year.
I'm Caden Rogozinski, and this is YYC Soccer Podcast.
Okay, Scott, let's talk about League One Alberta. There was couple matches on Friday that involved Calgary-based teams. First match was at the West Soccer Dome where Blizzard played Foothills.
Yeah, you and I were both really excited to see what would happen in these games because there's been a lot of player swaps between these two clubs this season. And it looks like Blizzard had the upper hand in both games. On the women's side, they won 1-0 thanks to a goal from Addison White. And then right afterward, in the men's game, the Blizzard also kept a clean sheet, beating Foothills 2-0 thanks to goals from Efe Udolu Joshua and William Omorenia. So it looks like Foothills went down a couple of players, though, in this game.
Yeah, I'm curious to see like the details of how this all went down. But Sine Hale, he got a yellow in the 14th minute and a yellow in the 18th minute. So that was a quick end to the match for him. And then, yeah, Caden Rogozinski got a straight red in the 56 minutes. So that final goal, the second goal of the match, was scored in the 63rd minute when they would have been playing 11v9. So obviously some problems there with the card.
Results definitely help Blizzard both on the men's and the women's side. They're both top of the table at the moment. So 3 games in. On the men's side, Blizzard are unbeaten with 2 wins and a draw. And on the women's side, exact same record, 2 wins and a draw, 7 points. They are 3 points ahead at the moment of Edmonton Scottish, although the Scottish have a game in hand. But really strong start to the season for Blizzard, and a really important win against their crosstown rival, I guess you could call it, Foothills.
And just to talk a little bit more about the other matchup, Rangers went to Edmonton and played Edmonton Scottish, and the men seem to be doing really quite well. They went up to Edmonton and notched a 2-0 victory. The women lost 5-2 to Scottish, but Rangers, for a first-year team, they're in 3rd place on the men's side right now.
A win and a tie after 2 games, so still unbeaten. Excited to see how they did. The scorers in their game, familiar names, right? We had Josh Flaxman and Finn Marshall. I believe, were they both with MRU?
Yes, they're both. I'm pretty sure they're both MRU. So
yeah, they're both with MRU. At least they were last year. So Rangers, definitely off to a strong start on the men's side. But on the women's side, 2 losses to start the season, and I think they were both heavy defeats as well.
I want to say yes. I think so. And as far as matches that are going to get played on Tuesday night, there was one match that has a Calgary connection, and that's going to be Callies against Dillons. They're going to play Tuesday evening at Macron, so the usual doubleheader format.
Yeah, women play at 5:30, and the men will be on right afterward at 7:45. So some late kickoffs for the men.
Thanks for listening to the YYC Soccer Podcast. You can have this podcast downloaded to your device as soon as it becomes available by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or other podcasting platforms. Check out our website at yycsoccer.com, where you can look through our episode archive, find other options to listen, including our YouTube channel. We also have links there so you can buy Scott's book about Calgary soccer history. If you have a question or comment, you can use the Contact Us section of our website. You can interact with us on social media such as Twitter, Instagram, or Blue Sky, where our username is YYC Soccer 403. Thanks for listening.